Ladies and gentlemen, every person in this room has, at some point, felt the cold shadow of the worst-case scenario creeping toward them. It might have been a moment of deep uncertainty, a season of loss, or a time when everything familiar seemed to be slipping away. Maybe it happened in the middle of the night, when the world was quiet and your thoughts grew loud, or perhaps it happened in public, when people around you continued to move, talk, and laugh, completely unaware that your world felt like it was cracking open. The worst-case scenario has a way of feeling like a trap, an avalanche, a wave that threatens to pull you under. But what if I told you that the worst-case scenario is not the end of your story, but the beginning of a different kind of strength? What if I told you that the darkest moments you faced, or are facing right now, might be the very soil in which the seeds of your greatest transformation are buried? This speech is about rising not despite the worst-case scenario, but because of it. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it brings change. It doesn't warn you before it tests your resilience, your courage, or your identity. It doesn't wait for you to be ready before it drops you into situations that feel too heavy, too unfair, too impossible. But the truth is this: you do not need permission to rise either. You do not need ideal circumstances to grow. You do not need to be unbroken to be unstoppable. You only need one thing: the decision to refuse to stay where you fell. And that decision, though simple, is one of the most powerful choices a human being can make. When people think of the worst-case scenario, they imagine devastation. They imagine the collapse of something important, a relationship, a dream, a sense of stability, a future they planned. But the worst-case scenario isn't defined by the loss itself. It is defined by what the loss tries to convince you to believe. It whispers lies into your mind. You'll never recover. This is the end. You've made a mistake that cannot be undone. You are alone. You are powerless. These thoughts don't come from truth. They come from fear masquerading as certainty. Fear loves to present itself as the final voice, the ultimate authority, the narrator of your destiny. But fear is loudest just before the breakthrough. Fear grows desperate when your strength is about to surface. And fear has no power unless you hand it the microphone. You may have fallen into a chapter you never expected, but you are not obligated to remain in it. Think back to a time in your life when you felt convinced that you would never recover from something. Perhaps it was the end of a job you thought would shape your future, a heartbreak that shattered you, a failure that embarrassed you, or a mistake that gnawed at your sense of self-worth. Yet here you are today, breathing, learning, growing. You survived what you once believed you wouldn't. That means you already possess evidence that you are stronger than the fears you carry. The worst-case scenario you dread right now, this looming possibility that feels unbearable, might actually be something you will one day look back on and say, that changed me. That sharpened me. That forced me to become someone stronger. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Escaping the worst-case scenario isn't just about survival. It's about identity. Hardship doesn't just test who you are, it reveals who you could become. When you go through pain, when your plans crumble, when your confidence shatters, life is offering you an invitation to rebuild, not the version of yourself you were comfortable with, but the version of yourself you are capable of being. Growth is rarely born in comfort. Comfort is warm, soothing, familiar, but it keeps you small. Discomfort, disruption, and disappointment shake loose the parts of you that no longer serve your future. The worst-case scenario may break the version of you that wasn't meant to carry you forward, but it will never destroy the core of who you are meant to be. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what you decide to do next. And right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can allow fear to narrate your story, or you can reclaim the pen. You can say, this is not how my story ends. This is simply where the plot twists. Every chapter of triumph begins with a turning point. And turning points usually arrive disguised as challenges. We often underestimate the power we have at rock bottom. People think rock bottom is a place of helplessness, but it can also be a place of clarity. When you reach the bottom, there's nowhere left to fall, only places to climb. The noise of the world fades, the illusions of control dissolve, and you are confronted with the raw truth of your strength. You learn what truly matters. You learn what you can live without. You learn that you can lose everything you thought was essential and still find a reason to rise. And even in the rubble, life whispers, you are not finished. Every person who has ever accomplished anything extraordinary has endured a worst-case scenario. Some faced public failure. Some encountered devastating loss. Some were laughed at, dismissed, or betrayed. But they chose not to stay down. They chose to use the worst-case scenario as fuel, not as shackles. They realized that pain is not the opposite of purpose. Sometimes pain is the doorway to it. When you stop running from the worst-case scenario and start confronting it, its power over you dissolves. It becomes manageable. It becomes something you can step over, rather than something you fear will bury you. The truth is, the worst-case scenario is often survivable. But do you know what isn't? Giving up, letting hopelessness become your identity, losing your belief in your own potential. The mind is so powerful that it can destroy you long before any real danger arrives. Most people don't lose to circumstances. They lose to their own doubt. They don't get defeated by failure. They get defeated by the belief that they aren't allowed to rise from it. Your thoughts can imprison you, or they can liberate you. And if you want to escape the worst-case scenario, you must first escape the mental trap that says you are powerless, because you are not. You never have been. You never will be. Even now, no matter what you are facing, no matter how heavy it feels, there is strength in you that has not yet been used. There are doors you have not opened, options you have not considered, opportunities you have not discovered. The situation may seem overwhelming, but you have overcome overwhelming circumstances before. You have survived days you thought would break you. You have endured moments you believed would destroy your spirit. And every scar you carry is proof, not of your weakness, but of your survival, your endurance, your resilience. When life throws you into the worst-case scenario, you have two choices: shrink or expand. You can let the moment shrink your belief, your vision, your courage, or you can expand your capacity to overcome. The people who rise are not the ones with perfect lives or easy circumstances. They are the ones who decide that they are bigger than the problems trying to contain them. They are the ones who learn to turn fear into awareness, pain into wisdom, uncertainty into innovation. They are the ones who understand that struggle is not the enemy, it is the teacher. Escaping the worst-case scenario does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means acknowledging the truth, accepting the struggle, and then refusing to bow to it. It means giving yourself permission to feel the pain without letting it paralyze you. It means standing back up not because you are unhurt, but because you are unstoppable. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else matters more than fear. And what matters more is your future, your purpose, your vision, your story, your life. Sometimes life asks us to let go of things we once believed we couldn't live without. But letting go is not the same as losing. Sometimes letting go is the first step toward finding something better, something truer, something meant for you. The worst-case scenario may take something from you, but it cannot take your ability to rebuild. It cannot take your determination. It cannot take your will. And it certainly cannot take your destiny unless you hand it over. You were not born to break. You were born to adapt, to grow, to evolve. Think of the strongest materials in the world. They are not the ones that never bend. They are the ones that bend without breaking. Flexibility is strength. Adaptability is power. When life forces you to change direction, it is not always rejection. Sometimes it is redirection, and the path you are being redirected toward might be one you never would have discovered if the worst-case scenario hadn't pushed you there. People often say, everything happens for a reason, but sometimes the reason is not given to you. It is created by you. The meaning is not in the event. It is in what you decide to build from it. You have the authority to turn adversity into advantage. You have the power to transform setbacks into stepping stones. You have the ability to say, this moment may have hurt me, but it will not define me. It will refine me. Imagine your life 1 year from now. What if you look back at this moment and realize that it was the turning point? What if you recognize that the fear you felt today became the courage you needed tomorrow? What if the worst-case scenario you dread right now becomes the story you tell others to inspire them? You are living the chapter that will one day become someone else's hope. The future you dream of is not built on perfection. It is built on persistence. It is built on resilience. It is built on the small decisions you make every day to keep going, to keep believing, to keep rising. You may not control everything that happens to you, but you control your response. And your response is where your power lies. Your response is what separates strength from defeat, victory from surrender, growth from stagnation. Do not let temporary circumstances convince you of permanent hopelessness. Do not let fear shrink your vision. Do not let failure convince you that you are not worthy of success. Life has not given up on you. Your story is not over. And you have not exhausted your potential. You still have more to give, more to learn, more to create, more to experience, more to become. The worst case scenario is not the enemy. It is the doorway. Walk through it with courage. Walk through it with conviction. Walk through it with the knowledge that you have survived everything you once thought would destroy you. You are stronger than your fears, braver than your doubts, and more capable than you realize. So stand tall, lift your head, look life in the eye and say, I am not afraid of what could go wrong, because I am focused on what could go right. You are not here to merely endure life. You are here to rise, to grow, to transform, to inspire. Escaping the worst case scenario is not about running away. It is about breaking through, and you have everything you need to break through. Your story is still being written. Your power is still unfolding, and the worst case scenario will not be your final chapter. You will rise from this. You will rebuild. You will reclaim your life. And someday, you will look back and say, that moment didn't break me. It remade me. Now go forward with courage. Go forward with clarity. Go forward with unshakable belief in yourself. Because the future belongs to those who refuse to be held hostage by fear. The future belongs to you. And no matter what you face, no matter what comes next, remember this, you are not defined by the worst case scenario. You are defined by the rise that follows.